Good morning, guys. Just out here enjoying some coffee on this beautiful, perfect weather morning yet again. It's overcast, it's breezy, maybe 75, low humidity. Loving it. So today I've got a whole bunch of little stuff to do, not really exciting to show on video. I got to do some weeding, got to tidy up the studio space, get all that junk on the table taken care of. Lots of little stuff around the house, just like that. No major projects, except for the Harmony remote. I'll definitely dive into that, see if I can get that wrapped up today. First, let me show you how the concrete here, or painted patio, turned out after letting that cleaner sit for a couple hours and then rinsing it off. So overall, the grease lightning did make a good difference. I would say 2/3 of everything is gone. However, it's definitely not completely gone. I will pick up another bottle of the Crud Cutter, which is definitely stronger, but I'll probably dilute it 1-to-1 because, like I showed earlier, it does take off this paint just sitting there. The grease lightning took off a little bit, but I think this spot was compromised by some of the mildew and mold sitting in there. This over here is still bad. It's green, it's red, it's black, and that's even after scrubbing. So definitely might have to repaint this winter. Hopefully there's some kind of mold or mildew resistant paint out there. This is a deck paint, and that's why it's sticking to the concrete so well. But I would think there's something maybe, for around pools, there's got to be something that's more resistant than this. So this is the system I've got going in. This is the Harmony Ultimate Home, and it's a combination of a standalone universal remote, pretty much the best you can get, but it's also got a corresponding app and it's smart home compatible. So it's able to tie into your smart home and Google or Apple HomeKit or Amazon Alexa or whatever you want to tie into for voice commands of your AV system. Now my AV system is slightly older. It's not the current 4K Apple TV because I don't yet have a 4K TV, so there's no need. The receiver is Yamaha, but it's not smart home compatible. It's a very good normal type setup. Blu-ray player, that's it. All I've got is the Apple TV and the Blu-ray player. Don't have a cable box anymore because we cut the cable years ago. So I've got everything set up through this very inexpensive, but you know what? Darn good universal remote. In here, I've got the Blu-ray, the Apple TV, the receiver, and the TV remotes all programmed in. This was a whopping $15 at Walmart years ago. Now, the problem is when you mix tons of stuff into a remote like that, unless it's fully programmable, you're gonna run out of buttons. And that's exactly what happened very quickly with this because you have overlapping controls. I mean, just think of how many things have a volume control button. Well, you've only got one volume control on a universal remote. So what you have to do is, click your source first and then click volume, that kind of stuff. It gets confusing. And the way I have it set up, it's very convenient for us because we've memorized what to do. But nobody walking in the door would have a hope in hell of ever turning on our TV. Let me put it that way. It's not that intuitive, but it works for us. And I've done it in conjunction with the receiver. The receiver has what are called scenes, and I think it has 4 programmable scenes. And what it does is, basically, they're like macros or presets, more like presets. So you press one button on the receiver, and it will go to your input, set up your audio settings, your speaker settings, all of your enhancements, whatever you want, set everything up like you have it preset. I also have what's called reverse HDMI handshake. So for example, if you turn on the receiver and press input 1, which I have to the Apple TV, it will, through the HDMI cable, turn on the Apple TV. So you don't have to turn on 2 devices. Same with the TV. Whenever the TV sees a call from one of the input source, it turns on. And it works the other way, hence reverse. You can press power on the TV and it will shut down the receiver and the input. So the system, just with the hardware it has, is already pretty consolidated. So all I had to do after I set up my hardware and all that kind of good stuff is program a button on here, and I use these here as the scene button since there are 4 of them, just coincidentally. And one button press will basically initiate what we want to do. But again, there's no label for it, and unless you know the sequence, you're never going to turn on our TV. So I want 2 things out of this. I want it to be easier. Obviously it has a screen, so it should tell you what to do. And I want to see how it can tie into the smart home. I want to see if I can say, turn on the TV, or turn on the Apple TV, or maybe play such and such. I don't know. This is touted as the best you can get, so let's take a look. So inside we have the remote itself. Let's pop it out. Very lightweight. Ooh, cool. It's got a almost rubberized texture on the back. Very easy to hold. It's ergonomic, quite comfortable. The old one is comfortable, but not like this. This actually is molded to the palm of your hand here. Very nice. Surprised how light it is. I had an older, it may have been one of the original Harmony universal remotes. It was huge, it was gray, it had a mono LCD screen. I don't remember if it was a capacitive touch screen or not. I think it was. It was like a pressure sensitive touch screen. Really, old. We're talking 15, 20 years ago. Not like today's tech. This is a charging dock for the remote, which is nice. No more replacing batteries. And this is the hub. So basically, like everything else smart home, it's got its own communication protocol. And this is the hub that goes into your network. Right there. And I'm going to assume it's Wi-Fi because there's no Ethernet port. So we've got a pairing button, USB port, might be for charging, and then probably some type of input or output. Not sure yet. Probably lots of documentation in here. Charging cable, USB charging cable, more cables. See, here is how it actually communicates with your stuff. If you have, for example, an infrared receiver, these are infrared emitters. So this is cool because you no longer have to have all your devices out in the open. Now, I went with a smoked black glass panel on my new cabinet there. So you can't see any of my equipment, which is what I wanted. But it's actually transparent to remote controls because it's just tinted glass. And infrared doesn't care about tint. It sees right through it. But you could actually hide your stuff away. You could even put it in another room. You could put it in a dedicated AV room. And this stuff will talk between the hub and your equipment. So your remote talks to your hub, I'm assuming through RF. We'll see. And then this is wired into your emitters and mimics your standard remote. So these you just stick in front of your devices like you're holding a remote right in front of it. So you just put this on the shelf right in front of your device, in front of the IR receiver. And it says that this does control up to 15 different devices at once. So whatever your setup, it should be able to do it. Another USB cable. All right, time to get reading. This is very light, so I'm assuming it's gonna say download the app and go from there. Just to confirm, the hub controls via IR, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi. So basically, it'll do everything except push a button for you. And yep, the remote does by default communicate to the hub via RF, which means you can put it in a totally different room. Doesn't need a line of sight, but it says it can also control devices directly. So this Harmony remote does also function directly as a replacement remote if you don't want to do that. This does have IR built in, so you don't have to use this and the IR blasters, but I'm going to. So they give you some placement instructions here. Basically, you want the hub and its IR emitters here to be able to see your equipment. Because like I said, this is mimicking your remote control. So you've got some options. It depends on your setup and how you want things to look. I'm sitting here and I can point this at the cabinet and control stuff. The IR is going into there and the receivers are picking it up. Now I could set this up, say I had a different type of room and I had a table or something behind here. I could plug it in back here. I could put an emitter somewhere, you know, if I wanted to run it behind this picture, I could put it right here in the corner and it would blast all my equipment. And that would work just fine. Alternatively, you can hide it away. This is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put this in my cabinet, just like, you know, stack it on top of my stuff, doesn't matter where it goes. Have a couple of these plugged in, probably just one, because I think I can get away with just one. And just set it on the shelf inside, and it will bounce around in there and control everything. So that's basically all I need to do right now. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in, wire it up, and charge this guy up. That's the first step. Okay, got it all plugged in and in process. The hub I've just got in there next to the Harmony, next to the Apple TV. And you can see it just disappears except for the status light. I'm assuming that status light's gonna be off once I get it set up. Right now it's going through its initial turn on stuff. The screen was doing something here. It said to set up, fire up the app or something like that. The remote charging dock is nice. I do wish it was weighted a little bit more. It's very light. So the remote is a little heavier than the charging dock. I might just put some double-sided tape down there so it doesn't wobble around, because I like it to be in the same spot. And when you're picking the remote up and down, I don't want it to move. Yeah, see there it says set up using the remote. I'm gonna let it charge for a little bit, but I do like how it sets in. There's no kind of click like a charging dock for your phone or anything. It just sets in and it's on two little springs on the bottom and it goes right in place. You don't have to maneuver it to dock it. It just sits there and it starts charging. So I like that, but I'm definitely gonna stick this down. I've got a very similar dock on my desk for my phone, and I love this type of charging setup. So I literally set my phone in exactly the same way, and it's all adjustable. And it charges my phone and it's connected to my computer so I can transfer files. And it's just a beautiful setup. I like these vertical docks for stuff very much. But the one on my desk, I have taped down. Okay, so I'm gonna download the app, get this going in a bit. We'll let it charge up for a little while. Oh, so here's the basic setup. I've got power on the bottom, battery backup unit. Everything except the remote charging dock is actually through battery backup power. So everything is able to be shut down and receives power during any kind of interruption. And it's good for a long time. You know, this stuff, if you're not blasting a movie, doesn't use all that much power. Even on my computer, I get a good 20 minutes of working out of a battery backup like that. So this is a receiver. It's not, you know, very modern today. I bought it a few years ago. It's the RXV 373. It's a great basic 5.1 system. You know, that I'm just using it basically as a nice amplifier. I'm not doing any decoding. I watch all of my stuff through my media server. I use an app called Infuse. It's very much like Plex. You've probably heard of Plex, probably haven't heard of Infused. Main difference between the two is Plex requires a server running at all times and Infused doesn't. I only watch locally, however. If you want to watch your collection outside the home, you still need a server either way. But for just local watching, Infuse doesn't require anything except an SMB share, and that's extremely easy to set up on Mac OS, Windows, or Linux. And all I do is share a folder on one of my arrays that I have all my movies copied to, and boom, I can play it from my phone, my iPad, my Apple TV, anything that has Infuse on the network. It just sees it as a huge media server drive, so I love it. The cool thing is it pipes through full quality audio. So it's just passing it right through to my system. So I'm not doing any further processing with this. It's just the full DTSMA audio is coming through, and there is a huge difference between that and what you get through things like Netflix or Hulu. Big audio difference. If you have a really good system, you can hear it clear as a bell. So the later models of this are smart home compatible, and of course the one thing I do wish I had is a 7.1, just so I could bi-amp my speakers. They are bi-amp compatible. Real quick, for those who don't know, if you have a 7.1 system and you don't want to use the extra 2 channels for extra rear surround, you can repurpose them to basically double the power to your 2 main speakers. So that would be a cool little feature, but not necessary. So that's the system. A really good Sony Blu-ray player that I have used exactly once. I put them all into my computer and I rip them, and they stream through the Apple TV through Infused. So I've got it, but I don't use it. And that's it. Got rid of cable a long time ago. I haven't watched TV in years. TV to me is absolute garbage, both quality and content. So that's it. Pretty much a nice little concise cabinet here. Love it. So the setup and install went very well. Tell you what, if you just go by the star ratings of stuff on the App Store, you would think everything is either terrible or really terrible. But this worked fine. It's not perfect. I did get stuck and had to relaunch from something, but I'll tell you that in a second. So I fired up the app. It automatically saw the hub. It asked me for my Wi-Fi password. It told me to put the remote in the cradle. It sensed that. It automatically took about 5 minutes to download and update the firmware for both devices, and we're off to the races. Now I did click on one thing in the app. It said to learn more about compatibility, click this. So I did, and it took me to a really nice page about all the things it can do in control. And then I had to relaunch because there's no freaking close or back button. So a little bit of a gotcha there. But here's the cool thing. This is actually a very robust hub. This is not just a controller for the remote. This is a smart home hub. It has built-in Zigbee, built-in Z-Wave, and it controls Caseta switches. So it does quite a lot of stuff. You may not, if you want to control your AV system and you get one of these, you may not need something like the Samsung SmartThings hub, because it does control your Nest, your quick set locks, like I said, all my switches. So, you know, it's not going to give you the really high-end programming control like the Samsung SmartThings. So you can't do a lot of the macros and the custom code and all that kind of good stuff. But if you just want to control stuff, this does it right out of the box. But that's it. You know, the SmartThings has a lot more, but I mean, look at everything I've installed, and that would cover it. So if you've got Zigbee, Z-Wave, Lutron, you're pretty much almost there, you know? Now I've got a lot of overlap, and I've got a lot of hubs. I've got the Harmony hub, I've got the Samsung, the Arlo, the IKEA, the Lutron, I'm forgetting something now, the Google for Wi-Fi. So I've got a lot of hubs going here, and definitely have everything covered, but like I said earlier, it is the wild, wild west, and there is a lot of overlap right now. So I'm going to relaunch the app again and go back in and finish all the setup. Okay, getting closer. I did have to completely blank the hub, do a reset, because I had clicked through to that information page. It completely screwed up the setup, and of course, had to start all over. So it showed it in the system as I found the hub, but it wouldn't let me set it up. So after a complete reset, just doing the wizard over, you know, I like wizards when they work, but when they don't work, they're very confusing to a lot of people. So if you're ever stuck in the middle of a setup wizard, start completely over. It's just the wizard. So got that done, added my devices. All you do is type in the manufacturer name and model number. It has everything in its database and it automatically sets it all up. So I just added my equipment, found it all, and now it wants you to physically set up the IR blaster. And it gives you a nice little test screen so you can turn things on or off and position things where you want it. And it's very powerful. This is not just like a remote. This thing is just flooding the room with IR. So what that means is setting it right here on top of my receiver, totally out of the way. Yes, pointing into the room. Oh, hold on. I had all this cable out because I was just testing locations. All of this will be just tucked back. Hang on a second. I'll clean this up in a minute. So just setting this emitter up here on top of the receiver, pointing into the room, works. And it's bouncing off this cabinet door here and it hits everything. No problemo. So totally clean setup. All right, so minor change. What I found was putting it there works for everything inside the cabinet, bounces around, yada, yada, yada. However, I was testing here like this and it works for the TV. It actually bounces off stuff in the room, presumably that picture up there mainly, and hits the TV just fine. However, when you close the door, it's just enough to block the signal back to the TV. But it works with the door open. So all I have to do is use the second emitter and I'll just put it up here on top or at the back, wherever it likes to live. I think it'll work fine at the back. Let's test it real quick. They give you plenty long enough cable so you can put it wherever you need to. Stay. All right, so now I'm just gonna test the TV again, and if that works, that will be where my emitters live. So after experimenting, front and center, or front and flush, works fine, which leads me to believe that it's more bouncing off that table or possibly the couch than up there, because back at the other edge doesn't connect at all. Definitely likes being more forward here. So I'll just tape it down near this and run the cable, probably not directly back, but through the actual door seam. We'll make it look good, but that works. So here's what I've come up with that works every single time. Kill two birds with one stone, just loop the wires under the cover there. Got the base taped down and got the emitter taped down to the base. It likes to be aimed slightly down. It likes bouncing off the floor, probably floods better and then bounces off that table, hits the TV, bada bing, bada boom. The other one is still inside, floods the cabinet and gets everything in there. And we're good to go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and finish setup. I need to do basic programming on the remote. You know, for 2 days now, I've heard this random beep. It's like every 10 or 15 minutes. Every time I've been sitting here in the office and I couldn't tell where it was coming. It sounded like a low battery alarm on a smoke detector, you know, just a quick shrill eep. But I couldn't locate it because I was never out here when it happened. I didn't think it was a smoke detector because these are all brand new. The batteries are all brand new and they've all got good, strong green lights. It's my door lock low battery alarm. I believe what I put in there was the cheap Chinese batteries that came with it. So it lasted about a month. I'm gonna put Eneloops in there. I believe it takes AA, 4 AA. Anyway, Eneloop batteries, I use them for all the stuff around the house. They maintain charges very long and they get recharged 1,500, 2,000 times. They're just a steal. So there's just 2 set screws, cover comes off, and we'll take the battery tray out. Ah, they were Duracells. I forgot I bought that huge pack of batteries. Well, I guess I'll just use those up. Alkalines are great. They put out a nice 1.5 volts, but they just don't last very long. There we go. Good for another at least month. Now I would imagine if you don't have it connected to a smart home, Therefore, it's not constantly sending out radio commands. You'd get a lot longer battery life if you're just using it as an electronic lock. All right, I think I got everything configured. Everything is off right now. Here's the remote. It's got lots of different options and features in the settings. Control the brightness. It's got different vibration. You can turn everything on or off. I've got it set to a nice soft vibration. You can adjust the dimness of the screen. It also has a pickup wake feature. You can turn that on or off. Backlighting of all the keys so you can see everything in the dark. I set up one activity here, watch Apple TV. All you do is click on it. It is a touch screen and it goes through and turns everything on. So I just heard the TV click on, I heard the receiver click on, I see the Apple TV power light. Should have it come up in a second, and there we go. All the buttons are automatically mapped for the correct devices, and it even automatically pulls in all the special, yep, that's the first time I'm running it here. Yes, it did, thank you very much. Yeah, that's cool. I need to set up all the advanced features right now. It even maps through the touchscreen all the different custom buttons on the device remotes. So you truly don't need your device remotes anymore. Pretty neat. I'm gonna go ahead and finish setting this up and see how we connect it into the smart home. So by default, for whatever reason, it threw up a home button and a ratio button, and the ratio actually brought up the ratio control for the TV. Definitely not what I want there. You can put in any buttons you want here from any of your devices. So this is when I'm watching Apple TV. The exit and the menu buttons are already mapped to the Apple TV remote buttons. So this is like the back button. One of them should go to a screensaver. Oh, I'm in edit mode. That's why, hold on. Done, saving changes. Now the buttons should work. So this is the exit button here is like the back button on the Apple TV remote, and menu is menu. So we should go to a screensaver here. And there we go. So that's pretty cool. If I want to add anything else, obviously OK is OK. I don't think I need anything else for the Apple TV because those are the only 3 buttons. But I want to make sure that volume is actually controlling volume on the receiver, not the TV. Should see a volume control, yep. That in the corner is my receiver volume control. That is perfect out of the box. So if there's anything extra you want to add in here, you can add soft touch buttons for anything in any of your devices, if that's what you want to do. And of course you can set up multiple things here. We're going to go back. I want to show you the home screen here. So this is like the more advanced setup. You know, one thing I'm noticing here, this is a cheap LCD display on the remote. It really is. What you're seeing on screen is what I'm seeing. It's got a lot of fall off angle. It's low res. For what you pay for this thing, it should have a much, much better screen. This isn't even on par with a cell phone from 10 years ago. I'm not exaggerating. It's a cheap, cheap display. Luckily, looking at it straight on, it works well enough. I don't have the brightness all the way up because I don't want it super bright when I'm actually watching stuff, but it can go a little bit brighter. You can see the pixels there probably on your screen. So a little disappointed there, but it at least does the job. Okay, so that's not what I want. I'm looking for just the main menu. So I'm in the activity, watch Apple TV. How do I go back? Maybe I have to power, okay, home button, that is a button. I didn't know if that was just a indicator or not. This favorites and home button is for the remote itself. See why I thought they weren't buttons? They're actually flush. So that's pretty cool. So right now I just have one activity button. This is my home screen for the remote, and there are side swipes for more screens. This takes you into what you can do, and this shows you what you're in right now. So right now I'm watching Apple TV, and that's what's on. I'm going to add one for watch Blu-ray disc, which will set everything up and just basically change the input on the receiver and turn on the Blu-ray player. And that's it. Nothing changes on the TV because it's going through, TV is just a dumb monitor. Everything's going through the receiver. So that's all I change for these things that I set up. And of course you can touch them here and it'll automatically go between one or the other. So that works. Pretty cool. So to start watching the Apple TV, I just have to tap it. I don't have to point this anywhere. This is talking to the hub, and the hub is doing all the work. Turns on the receiver, sets it to the scene I want, turns on the Apple TV, turns on the TV, which is just a dumb monitor going through the receiver, and we should see Apple TV. After everything completes, we now have control, and if I wanted custom buttons up here, it would show. Otherwise, these are working as hard buttons. When I'm done, the off button is set to turn the TV off, the Apple TV off, and the receiver off. That's it. Pretty cool. Now for the cool part. So I went into the Alexa app and went into skills, enabled the harmony skill. Whenever you add something not in the native ecosystem, it just goes through what's called a skill. It's basically just a driver, think of it that way. And I linked and signed into my Harmony account. Now that's added into the Alexa app, which adds it into all my Echo Dots. And it automatically pulled in everything I had already set up because it's talking directly to the hub and through my account. And now I can say, look, Ma, no hands. Alexa, turn on the TV. Click, click, boom. It also works for volume, changing the channel, anything you want to set up. Now, because I'm usually playing something fairly loud, I'm not worried about any of that. That's why I have a nice remote for doing volume and stuff like that. But basic on-off features, you betcha, that's pretty cool. Alexa, turn off the TV. Not touching a button. Whatever you want to do with it, you can set up. It's that easy. Well, my new panel should be nice and dry. Left out there overnight, no rain. One thing to note, these laser pointers, they work great. However, you pretty much have to put them on the side of a device. You know, this is a pretty normal garage. Why can't I zoom? Hold on. So I just updated to the iOS 12.1. It's a little buggy, especially using the camera from the lock screen. I've had it kind of freeze up a couple times. I don't know. Anyway, what I was saying was you pretty much have to put this laser pointer on the side because they're very limited in their swivel range. They can only come out, I don't know, maybe 35, 40 degrees. And you can see where they're pointed almost directly. What are you barking at? There's nothing there. Oh, she's barking at Halloween stuff blowing in the wind. So, stop it. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's just Halloween. So they're pointed basically to the side because this is where her dashboard sits, right? Nose of the car comes up to about here. And there's nothing there, Chloe. So, I don't know what kind of garage you would have where you could put it in this front bay, because the point is these are supposed to do two cars, you know, one to the side, but they don't come down 90 degrees, so they can only point to about here, which means they're hitting the nose of the car, which you can't see because it's sloped down. So if you're using this for more than one car, you're kind of screwed, especially if you want one of the big power adapters, because these have to go on the sides. This is the extension cord, which uses bays 1 and 2. The air compressor uses bays 5 and 6. Both of these would be taken on the side. So you're relegated to putting the remaining stuff on the ends here. And you've only got one available here and 2 here. And there's another module you can get. There's also a security camera, which doesn't get very good reviews, and I don't really care about it anyway, monitoring the garage. So just bear that in mind if you're looking at the system and you want to use a laser pointer for 2 cars. You might be out of luck if you're going to use something like the power drop also. Otherwise, you got to buy 2 of these and, you know, put one on each side. There we go. That looks much better without that missing corner. Good enough. All right, so here's the power of smart home with everything connected. You guys have seen what I set up so far. Wife just got home. Oh, there's Chloe Bear. Got the lights on, got the fan going, kitchen lights on, everything's off. Alexa, movie time. Oh yeah.
What?
Yep. And I've also got a routine for going to bed that'll lock the door, turn off all the inside lights, make sure the porch lights are on.
Alexa, make my bed.
If I had hands, I would gladly help. I do have a playlist that might turn this chore into a little fun. Just say, play music for cleaning.
Yeah, how about that? So we have to maintain the trees out front here, and specifically we have to maintain the branch heights, both over the sidewalk, I believe that is 8 feet, and over the street, which is 10 feet. Mine are definitely too low. Got some here that are scraping heads, and I got some here that are just growing into the palms. So there's a bunch of branches here I want to trim back. I want to get that one over there, and definitely the lower ones that are over the street, get them up nice and high so the garbage truck and any delivery trucks don't hit. I shot my tree guy, my landscaper that I used at the old house, a couple messages. Said, hey, got a job for you. Come on over. And MIA. So I just guess I'll do it myself. Got to go get another pull saw. The other one I had broke and I tossed it before we moved. So I need it anyway. And then we'll just have to cut things up and fit them into bags. You know, I think I'm going to wait until Sunday to do this. So I have a full open trash bin. So I already have a couple huge bags full from the backyard stuff. And that way I can put all these larger branches right in the can so he can take them. I'm going to cut down this whole medium-sized one right here, and that'll take off everything growing into my palms over here. And I'm not going to take off the big ones over here, but I'm going to get these couple little fingers that are drooping right here. So that'll keep this canopy nice and tall above the sidewalk. And just a bunch of the stragglers out here growing into the street. I don't have to do anything major with the bigger branches, just a couple of these little ones that are hanging down, a couple of these closer ones right here on the lower part of the trunk. So that should do it. Wasn't bad. Got it for 32 bucks for a 12 foot. The really cool thing is, unlike my last one, you just spin off this wing nut and you got a nice handheld saw. Well, I've been chugging away here, just about done. Need to go through a couple more containers here, get stuff put away. Pulled a lot of stuff into the garage. I'm making myself kind of a working room here. This is where I'll come in from doing cigar videos. I can recharge my Chromebook. I can put down my battery. I've got my little charging station in here for the stuff that isn't USB. All my different battery chargers. Just, you know, everything in one place, easy to go. This is a great charger, by the way. I don't remember, I must have gotten it on Amazon, but years ago. I don't even know if it's still around. So it's Titanium Innovations. It's a fantastic double and triple A charger. Does 16 at once, which for photographers is nothing unusual. Each of our flashes takes 4 batteries, and you know, we use 4 or 5 on a shoot sometimes. So when we come home and you know, we've got 30, 40 batteries to recharge, you got to use these big guys. But I've had a couple of them. This is the last one I bought because it works fantastically. It's kind of a smart charger, not only recharges, but it discharges and somewhat conditions. but it works with these end loops absolutely perfectly. So that's up there all the time. I'm gonna do this shelf for like cigar accessories and stuff like that. I haven't fully got that stocked back up. Collecting a bunch of stuff that I'll be giving away at the HERF, giving away a bunch of hats and shirts. Kind of, these are little cigar measuring tapes. I've got this, can't remember what he called, High Desert Man, something or other. It's got a little ashtray and a spot for your accessories. I know it's kind of dark in here, but it's supposed to be. And then I'll just lay out, you know, general working stuff as I go. But this is like 99% done, and just have to put some stuff away. Artwork is going to be an ongoing project. I have tons of frames, and I do have a ton of photos that I haven't printed yet that I may do at some point. Tomorrow, I actually have to get up really early. I may not do a daily vlog from here on out. I may just put them together as I do things, and you know, maybe put several days into one video, because I'm not going to have full days of doing stuff anymore. It's pretty much done. All right, Chloe. But tomorrow I'm getting up very early because I have a couple bikes, motorcycles to review, and right now I got to go prep all my motorcycle camera gear because I haven't used some of it in a couple months. Make sure everything's charged, working, and updated. Yada yada yada, and hit that in the morning. Anyway, that's it for today. I will see you next time. If not tomorrow, then in a couple days. I've got the additional garage lights coming on Monday, being delivered. So that's at least a big project. Got some other small stuff going on, but like I said, I'll probably put it all together in one video. See you next time, guys. And by the way, thanks for those of you that have been watching this whole move series from the beginning. It's been a journey.